Father Hans Hendricks, in January 1973, was assigned full-time to evangelization of the Santals in the Charhi area and beyond. A small team was formed. Hans Santal Jesuit Scholastic, Raska Soren and Holy Cross Sister Edith Prabha. They absorbed the Santal way of living.
I was in the novitiate, first year novitiate, 1970, and we had in the first year experiment. For the experiment, we were asked to come to Hazaribag ashram. In ashram, Hans Hendricks was a parish priest. He arranged with a catechist to take us to village. Which village? I didn't know. We didn't know. So there was one company, and with me also a scholastic, Suleiman Tirki, Ranchi province. So we were taken to a village, and we got down from the bus in Charhi, and from Charhi we walked around 2 kilometers far away, almost near jungle, and that was Chanaro. So that was the first stage. Second stage was what to talk. Suddenly we are a stranger, and they are also saying they very difficult. So I started some kind of song in Santali about one God, and so they also started saying something about one God. So I asked them, if you want to hear more, I will stay here for a few days, and we can arrange about that. So they were ready. So then this message was sent to Hazaribag, and Hans sent 2 more sisters because they were quite ready to listen to us. So they were ladies also. So 2 sisters, Edith, and there was another Mukta. So we continued 15 days, and they were baptized.
Lived a simple life with no fixed center, traveling from village to village. Their approach bore fruit, and small numbers of Santals were baptized. Father Bill Dwyer, following on his BA in St.Xaviers College, Ranchi, with Hindi as one of his subjects, then much later in June 1967, began the MA Hindi course in the Allahabad University, finishing the course not far from the top of the class. Very much encouraged by his superiors in June 1970.
So the Regent Superior, Father Tiro Connor, said, well, at one time you wanted to follow up your Hindi studies. Do you still want to do that? Or do you want to stay here in Mahuadanar? Well, I made a choice. I said I'd like to go ahead, if possible, get into an MA course. So, cutting a long story short, I got admitted in Allahabad through some of the fathers in the seminary there who were friendly with the faculty of Hindi. They made me very welcome. It was 2 very interesting and pleasant years. Good lecturers. I was by far the oldest in the class, but made friends with a lot of the boys there.
Bill went to the Delhi University to begin a PhD thesis, a study of the devotional thrust in the works of the poet Kabir.
So I was interviewed by 5 or 6 of the professors, and they said, well, now what would you like to do? So I tried out my idea of Premchand. They said everybody does that. So they said, do you have an alternative one? Well, I said I thought of doing some research on Kabir. Then they looked up. They said, "What would you like to do?" Well, just following out an idea of the many streams of thought and influence in Kabir, is there one particular which distinguishes him, I think. They said, "Very good."
In November 1973, he successfully defended his thesis and earned himself the PhD degree. Right from his time as a regent, Paul Jackson had begun his interest in the world of Islam. This led to many years of study, including learning Arabic, Urdu, and Persian. Paul eventually moved to Patna and by laborious study gained a PhD on the writings of Bihar's most eminent Sufi, Sarfuddin Maneri. In this, he was greatly helped by his guide professor, Sayyid Hasan Askari. Even after his doctorate, Paul continued on in Patna and in his outreach to Muslims by his writings and his many contacts. Paul Jackson writes about Maneri. I had no difficulty in acknowledging him. Along with countless Muslims, as one of God's greatest saints, I realized that his world was filled with God. He lived in God's world. God, being his all, comes through in Maneri's book, The 100 Letters and the Hero, and the one who is real beyond compare. For 10 years from June 1975, Father Tony Ran was a key person in the diocese, wearing many hats. Diocesan Treasurer, managing Catholic Relief Services at Chandwa, Parish Priest of Daltonganj, and many other ministries. In 1978, again, famine struck Palamu district, and Tony was busy in relief efforts of Catholic charities. In fact, for so many years, Tony had the overall responsibility of economic and development works of the diocese. As we have seen, Father Phil Crotty took over as parish priest in 1970 after completing in Delhi his MA in social anthropology. He brought in many changes. Instead of the touring priest staying in the village chapel, eating food brought from the center, the priest stayed in the home of one of the villagers and enjoyed their hospitality.
फादर मकनामरा के पहले सुपीरियर थे, पीछे तो यहाँ पल्ली प्रीस्ट बन करके यहाँ का सचिव बन करके आए। और जब वो सचिव बन करके आए पल्ली प्रीस्ट, उस समय मैं यहाँ का उप सभापति कैथलिक सभा का था। और उस समय कैथलिक सभा में मैं अक्सर बैठता था। बहुत सारे विचार कैथलिक सभा में होते थे। जो भी परिवर्तन समाज में होता था या तो समाज में जाना था, वो पारिश प्रीस्ट प्लस प्रचारक समुदाय में विचार करके कैथलिक सभा में पारित करके प्रसारण गांव सभा में होती थी। गांव सभा की बात भी उसी समय से हुई।
He involved village heads in decision concerning the Catholic life of the village, upgraded the preparation for marriage school, and encouraged traditional dances that earlier had been termed not Christian. Father Tony Homan was parish priest of Chipadohal for nearly 5 years, at different times from 1972 till 1979, as well as being busy in the parish center and villages. Tony took a great interest in the school shown by his saying, "The more I see of these children, the more I see great potential for the future." He also strongly supported the Mahila Sangh, women sodality. He encouraged the women to take part in regional and even national conventions. Father Steve Daly became parish priest of Kanjia from 1959 to 1976. Surely a record of sorts, and in this time he built a new convent and church, and more importantly, a strong Catholic community scattered in many villages. During this period, in June 1973, a new parish was set up in Gothgaon with Father Gaudentius Kongari as the first parish priest.
In Gothgaon Parish, first parish priest was Father Gaudentius Kongari. He was staying in a mud house, and we sisters, Holy Cross sisters, were called to take care of the school which was running in Mirgi. So sisters in the beginning were coming from Mahuadanar, up and down they were doing, and later they started staying in a rented house in Mirgi itself and taking care of the children. And here in the parish, it was about 1.5 kilometers from here to Mirgi. So church and all, they were coming here only. When building work started, first of all land was purchased for both school and parish and convent also. And when school building was built here, the Mirgi school transported here in Gothgaon, and sisters also started staying here and taking care of the school. And in this part, it is a big parish, almost more than 12 villages, and these villages are big village. In one village more than 300 houses are there. So like this all together more than 12 villages are here, and number of Christian is also more, and they come to the church. When they come, church is overflowing.
And in November 1974, another new parish was set up in Saleh with Father Barry O. Lucklin as the first parish priest. Though in both places for many years, the Jesuits from the Mahuadanar were visiting the villages of these new parishes, there was no parish establishment, and for many years, until a church building was constructed. Sunday Mass was celebrated in the open. The common final exam for all the middle schools in the Chachari was conducted successfully in December 1974. Moreover, middle school students were able to make use of the common science facilities. Combined classes of all three high schools in the science block in the government residential high school campus began in January 1975.
The Government of India brought out the Qatari Commission report in which it recommended school complexes, schools working together. So Ken McNamara in Mahuadanar decided, let us work together among the schools in the Chachari Valley. So the result was that we had common exams for the middle schools, the residential schools, St. Teresa's and St. Joseph's worked together. We shared science laboratories and worked together. And that was a great work actually of togetherness in the Chachari Valley.
At the same time, discussions began to hand over the primary schools run by the mission and have the mission middle schools at Mirgi and Saleh recognized. Enthused by the success of the school complex in Mahuadanar, the Bihar government decided on an experimental basis to introduce it in Sitamarhi, Nalanda and Palamu districts. Principal Father Michael Ether in 1974 arranged with the government for his trainee teachers as part of their course to teach in neighboring government schools. The previous year, the Holy Cross Sisters had taken over the administration of the Institute's own practice middle school, a very big step ahead with the girls in the Holy Cross hostel.
In 1974, Holy Cross Sisters were invited by Jesuit to collaborate with them in teaching in the Teachers Training Practice Middle School, known as St. Joseph Middle School. Sister Cecilia Kullu was appointed the first headmistress of the school. On 26 July 1975, with 15 trainees, hostel was started in the convent. Sisters were entrusted with the responsibility of taking care of trainees in the hostel and teach in college. At present, there are 83 trainees in the hostel and Sister Alice is taking care of them.